And welcome back to Studio 2, broadcasting live from FIFA Fan Fest at Lemon Hill. I'm Avi Wolfman-Arentz.
And I'm Cherry Gregg. The World Cup in Philly is exciting for pretty much everybody. And some of us are new to the game, but a lot of folks have been big into pro soccer for a very long time.
The sport has been steadily growing in popularity in the U.S. over the past few decades with the success of the U.S. women's team, the growth of Major League Soccer, and more widespread access to international leagues, helping the beautiful game reach a wider American fan base.
Yeah, a new book takes a look back at how we arrived at U.S. soccer today and what it could look like in the future. And joining us now is Mark Franek. He is the author of American Soccer Nation, the remarkable 150-year history of Yanks on a Roll, from mob football to the modern game. He's also a teacher at WHYY Academy, a private school for elite soccer student athletes. Mark, welcome to Studio 2.
Thank you, Avi, Cherry. It's great to be here and Studio 2. Thank you for showing some love to the soccer people.
Oh, of course.
We have to, Mark. I'm just curious about the subtitle of your book, Mob Football to the Modern Game. So take us back. We're talking about the roots of American soccer. What is mob football?
Oh, yes, mob football.
The mafia, right? It's mafia football,
yeah,
right?
No, we would call it mob football. So imagine going to a high school or a college, if you will, back in the 1800s. You're there, there's no adult supervision. Most of your classes are taught in Greek or Latin. And what do you want to do as soon as class is out? What you want to go out on the quad or in between, wherever you could play a game with a ball. Try to move it in any means necessary from one side of campus to the other. That would be defined as mob football. And the English were the first to put the rules down of the modern game in 1863. So when we talk about soccer or American soccer or any soccer around the world, it really didn't get started until 1863.
And so they were playing mob football at campuses here?
Sure, yes, of course, yep. And campus, it would be called proto-soccer because you can't really call it soccer until 1863. But yes, they would pick up the ball, they would kick the ball. Sometimes they had a tree that they would hit it into or a wall. And sometimes they were using spikes on their shoes. And the headmasters of these schools and the professors and the masters, if you will, hated it, right? Because it would end up putting a lot of kids in the hospital who are at these schools. So we had to get some rules set down, which the English did in 1863 that kind of organized the game and said, hey, you can't pick up and run with the ball in your hands. This is not proto-rugby. You have to kick the ball to each other and kick it over a line and into a goal. And hence, the world was started on its journey to the beautiful game.
Wow, and so tell us about the roots of it growing in the United States, because it seems like if you go outside of the Western Hemisphere, soccer is huge, but it didn't feel like until the last 20 years or so that you started feeling that surge here in the U.S.
Yeah, certainly. You know, soccer in the United States has been here, always been here, for 150 years. It took certain decades where it went dormant, if you will, but it never died out. But if you go back into the late 1800s, many of the soccer communities that were spread out around the United States, of which they were many, were being supported by the textile industry or early industrialization type companies.
Yeah, company teams.
Company teams and immigrants.
Bethlehem Steel had a team,
There we go. Bethlehem Steel, about an hour north of Philadelphia, by horse and buggy or early model car, right? Yeah, it supported these teams that were being supported by local industries that became pretty big. You know, many of the car manufacturers from Detroit were sponsoring football teams, soccer teams, if you will. So it became at first known as sort of an immigrant game, but then it evolved to include a lot more Americans. And to be honest and to be clear, soccer has always cast a wider net, socio-economically, racially, ethnically, than any of the other four North American sports. We had Jewish teams playing in the 1920s, black teams, white teams, integrated
all
teams.
All playing together.
Together. Not together, which makes it different in its history than the NFL story or the Major League Baseball story.
I think I read somewhere that one of the most successful clubs around here was even called the German Americans.
There you go,
They would even have it in the title.
Yep, for many years, not just in Philadelphia, but in all the cities across America, the teams would be represented by their old country names, either where they were from or a team from the old country, if you will, or maybe the American sponsor. And they celebrated their identity, which is complex, basically the company that was supporting them in the United States, or maybe where their immigrant group came from Europe, and they celebrated
Germany, Ukraine,
yes, not really good for marketing purposes, if you will, but all Americans. It's not an immigrant sport anymore. It's always been for a wide variety of Americans. And the tent is bigger. It's big. And for our listeners or viewers who are watching this, listen, some of them might be in the soccer tent. Maybe some have a pinky or a little toe inside the soccer tent. Maybe they're not in the soccer tent at all. But I bet that all of our listeners know at least some people are playing, a grandson, a granddaughter, right? A neighbor, the guy at work who shows up on Monday morning sporting a jersey from his favorite club team. There's a lot of soccer people around.
And so there's this history of it being in immigrant communities and sort of spreading and becoming more Americanized. When did it become a professional sport in America?
Right. So soccer professionally has had 3 iterations on American soil. A short one in 1894 to 1895 that didn't last.
That was like boom, boom.
Oh my gosh! It came and went. It was supported by the baseball people who were looking to use their baseball stadiums during the winter months. It didn't last. Okay. Then you have a 1921 to 1931 sprint.
A little longer.
Long one, a decade long, called the American Soccer League. It was fully professional and had 8 to 14 teams up and down the Northeast coast, from basically Philly on up to New York City, Brooklyn, and then Rhode Island, up to Boston, that were playing professionally. 10 to 15,000 people would come to watch, and they were rivaling the baseball people at the time.
So they had a little traction there.
They had a little traction, and unfortunately, it got knocked out. Viewers and listeners might remember 1929, the Great Depression, which really knocked the wind out of the soccer people, which were largely blue-collar workers.
And if you don't succeed, try again. And
try
the third
again.
iteration,
The third iteration was what we call the NASL, the North American Soccer League. And this league, roughly 1968 to 1984, this was the Cosmos area. Some listeners may recall Pelé and a bunch of European and South American pros nearing the end of their career were getting bought up by the North American Soccer League. And they were putting on their show, but unfortunately, they were playing in these giant gridiron stadiums that had 70,000 seats, but maybe only 10 to 15,000 fans, so it was a bad look. Playing on gridiron football stadiums in the turf with a crown in the middle, it just wasn't a pleasant experience. But it lasted for over a decade.
And we had the Adams, right? We had
the Philadelphia Adams won. That's true. The Philadelphia Adams, some listeners. That's great. You've done some research on this.
I did a little reading.
He loves this. Yes.
And so then now we get to MLS.
Yeah, MLS.
The domestic league of today. And, of course, people know the Philadelphia Union. I believe they started play in 2010 in MLS. So this is the longest-lasting one so far. This has gotten the most traction. Tell us where the MLS stands today. I know you're bullish on its future.
Sure. Let's just start briefly. It was established in 1996, so we're into the 30th year of the MLS. It's a stable league. There are 30 teams playing, which now rivals it by number to the other 4 North American leagues that have 30 or 32 each. So it's across 3 time zones. It's fully professional, of course. Players are making 6, some are making 7 figures. You have Messi, who's in town, and you have every one of these 30 teams supporting a local youth academy.
Including, we have, you were telling me off mic, and you're a little biased because you're affiliated, but the Union has what is maybe generally considered the best of the youth academies. Tell us what a youth academy is and how it works.
Sure. In order to get really good at soccer, like the soccer mad countries in the rest of the world, you have to be embedded and immersed in soccer almost daily from a young age. That's just the way it works in the rest of the world, and all of these wonderful jerseys around here and the teams that are going to be playing this summer. So what the 30 clubs have done, each of them, the professional clubs, have created their own youth academy system that brings in kids as young as 8. Some start at 10, others start at 12, but basically bring them into the club, and they train them every month of every year, basically with 2 months off over the summer, to become potentially professional. So you've got these 30 clubs with these youth academies. Like the NFL doesn't do that. This is just our way to imitate what goes on in the rest of the world.
And what stood out to me during this conversation was that it's a pretty good hit rate as far as the number of young people coming through the program who actually end up going pro.
Absolutely. YSC Academy, which is this high school, 80 kids or so from 7th grade through 12th graders.
This is the Union's
The
Academy.
Union's Academy. By high school graduation, about 18% will turn pro before high school graduation.
Wow.
If you go to college graduation, around 22 years old, a full 30% of kids that have graduated from that high school turn professional. And where are they playing professionally? Mostly in the MLS under what's called the homegrown umbrella, which is mean you're homegrown, you're American, you've been developed in America, primarily by an MLS club, and now you're making six figures to play your sport that you love in front of a paying crowd every week.
Yeah, and so when you think about the future of soccer, I mean, this is big for, you know, Philadelphia to have, 6 games for the World Cup. We have so many cities in the U.S.
The trains are
hosting
excited
this.
about it, too.
Everybody's excited. And so when you think about the future, what do you see as far as the fan base of fans growing in America?
Yeah, so listen, you have the MLS and another rival league called USL, United Soccer League, that are now putting out fully professional teams. 25 of the 30 MLS teams now play in soccer-specific stadiums that are intimate, that are beautiful, that are fun, that are being supported by their local fan base. And the league now is solidified, and there's billions of dollars at stake. Soccer is only going to continue to grow, not in every town around the country, but in the major nodes that are putting on the professional venues. And without a doubt, however well the United States team does this summer, whether we hopefully get out of the first round and get into the second or third round, it's still going to grow. It would be great if we could get further into the World Cup, but no matter what happens to the United States men's national team, soccer is here to stay in North America. People are excited about it. The tent is growing, and it's going to continue to expand. There's enough money, enough eyes, enough people that are excited about it all around the country.
The enthusiasm is contagious.
I
am curious, though, how is the sort of like growth of MLS being charted with or maybe against the growing interest in like Premier League soccer, European soccer? Because I've been to like bars at 9 in the morning, Mark, where people are watching Tottenham. And I am curious, is that taking away from the MLS's growth? Is it feeding the MLS's growth? How do you consider that competition?
Yeah,
because now you can sit here in Philadelphia and watch a game happening in Germany or Britain.
Great. Listen, let's say it's soccer mad people or even people who are interested, of course you're going to be able to watch your favorite team with these big satellite. You can click around and watch your favorite teams from Europe every week. But you know what else you can do? On a Saturday night, you can get in your car, you can drive to Subaru Park and watch the Union or any of the other 29 pro teams. And you can watch them on your Apple TV package for like $70 a year. And then the next day, if your wife or your spouse will let you, you can watch your 3 Premier League teams that you follow.
So you're saying they're not mutually exclusive.
They're not mutually
exclusive. More
exclusive.
soccer is good,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, listen, there's no reason why people who love soccer in America can't follow their local professional team, be excited about them, and also enjoy their best Premier League team and their best Champions League team. We're all under the same tent, and as long as there's enough hours in the day, you can peel yourself away from your family, there's something to watch.
Real quick, Mark, you said there's 3 players that came out of the Philadelphia Union Academy that are on the U.S. team. Their names are?
Their names are Brendan Aronson, Austin Trusty, and Mark McKenzie.
Okay.
And they've each actually endorsed my book and given me, I mean, I got to plug it, right? Here are 3 national team players that went to the high school where I teach that plug this
So
book.
if you're going to root for 3 players, make it those 3 in this World Cup. Mark Franek is a teacher at WHYY Academy and the author of American Soccer Nation. Thank you so much, Mark, for your time today on Studio 2.
Yeah, and WHYY will be covering the World Cup as all the events unfold in our newsroom, on TV, and Studio 2. And tonight, tune in to WHYY TV for gritty but global Phillies World Cup adventure. So check that out.
Today's edition of Studio 2 was produced by Debbie Builder, Hazel May Bryant, and Paige Murray Bessler.
All right.
Our engineers are Tina Calicay, Charlie Kyer, Al Banks, and Mike Schiffler. The technical crew includes camera operators Paul Parmalee, Theron Lewis, and Gary Lindstrom. And thank you to the crew at FIFA Fan Festival, including Melissa Ferdinand.
Yeah, the executive producer of Studio 2 is Kevin McCory. Joan Isabella is WHYY's audio general manager. From Philadelphia's FIFA Fan Festival at Lemon Hill on World Cup Match Day 1, I'm Cherry Gregg.
The person behind me is Louis Fonzi, apparently. I'm Avi Wolfman-Arent. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the World Cup, folks. It is here.